The sound of bronze drums echoed through the night of Babylon, as if calling both the heavens and the slow waters of the Euphrates. On the steps of the great temple of Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, torches burned brightly, casting long shadows of young women in thin garments. They were not noble daughters, nor free women. They were the slave courtesans of the temple, bound to surrender their bodies as sacred offerings. Among them stood Namtaru, a girl barely 15, sold into the temple after being captured in war. Her father had fallen outside the city walls, her mother and sisters scattered, who knew where. For Namtaru, the temple was both a prison and the only world she had left. The early days, the matron of the temple taught her how to paint her face with ground minerals, to line her eyes with black coal, and to wrap silk veils for ritual processions. "Your body is no longer your own," the matron said. "It belongs to Ishtar now, and to whoever comes here to offer tribute through it." Namtaru trembled. She had thought slavery meant carrying water, grinding grain, or sweeping floors. Here, slavery meant offering herself. On her first night, she sat on the steps, knees drawn tight, watching as merchants from distant lands entered the inner chamber, welcomed by other women who smiled despite the weight in their eyes. Fear, disgust, and a strange curiosity knotted inside her chest, stealing her sleep. Rituals of devotion, each year, at the spring equinox. The king himself would choose one among the temple women for the sacred marriage ritual, a symbolic union of god and mortal meant to ensure fertility and abundance for the land. Before thousands of citizens, who threw flowers and chanted Ishtar's name, the chosen woman was exalted as divine. But to the women themselves, it was not divinity, was another chain, wrapped in gold. More than once, Namtaru asked herself, is this truly a sacred devotion, or is it exploitation cloaked in holiness? Flickers of hope, still, not everything was darkness. Some wealthy merchants, moved by affection or pity, would purchase a woman's freedom. A few rose from slavery to become wives, concubines, or innkeepers in their own right. These stories were whispered like fragile flames in the wind, kindling faint hope in Namtaru's heart. One night, after a long ceremony, she met Ashur, a young scribe from Assyria. Unlike the others, he did not touch her with hunger. Instead, he sat and spoke. He asked about her childhood, her riverside village, her memories of family. For the first time in years, Namtaru wept. In that moment, she was no longer a slave, but simply a girl remembered. Ashur promised to return. Yet promises from travelers were as fleeting as the desert wind. Namtaru knew this, yet still she waited. Walls crumble, time moved on. War returned. Enemies closed in on Babylon, drums of battle drowning the sacred drums of the temple. Merchants fled, rituals dwindled. Amid the chaos, word came, Ashur had fallen on the frontier. Namtaru knelt before Ishtar's statue, whispering, "They call me your courtesan, but do you hear a slave's prayer? If you truly exist, grant me freedom, if not in this life, then in the next." The legacy. No one knows what became of Namtaru. Perhaps she perished when Babylon fell to the Persians. Perhaps she was sold again, vanishing into another city, another night. But her story, like that of countless slave courtesans, lingers in fragments of carved stone and echoes of Mesopotamian myth. To later generations, they were not merely harlots or slaves. They were living witnesses to humanity's contradictions. The clash between the sacred and the brutal, the divine mask laid upon human suffering. And perhaps, somewhere in the dust of ancient Babylon, the faint sobs of Namtaru still mingle with the beating of bronze drums, reminding us that history is not only written by kings, but also by the forgotten lives in their shadows.